Welcome to episode 5 of the NBA Talk Show. Today I would like to talk about the All-Star voting. The numbers came out today for the fan votes today, February 4th. And it looks like Durant is the leading vote getter with 2.3 million votes, and behind him is LeBron with 2.2 million votes. So they will be the captains of their respective teams. Next up, I'll just focus on the Western Conference, although it is a draft system, so the teams will be mixed and matched, but there will still be the same amount of players coming out of each conference. So for the Western Conference, the next leading vote getter is Steph Curry with 2.1 million votes, Nikola Jokic with 1.4 million votes, Luka Doncic with 1.3 million votes, and Kawhi Leonard with 1.2 million votes. So those would be the starters as of now. And then next up for the bench, looks like Anthony Davis will make it with 1.1 million votes, Damian Lillard with 1 million votes, Paul George with 549,000 votes, Zion Williamson coming in at number 9 with 411k votes. Number 10 is an interesting one. Andrew Wiggins making it with 264,000 votes. Christian Wood coming in at 11 with 261,000 votes. And John Morant rounding it out at 257,000 votes. The next in line would be Donovan Mitchell at 236k votes, and then Brandon Ingram at 230k votes. Going down the list on this conference, there's really only one player coming in that is a kind of WTF kind of thing going on. I don't really know what to say with Andrew Wiggins. I don't know if the Warriors fans are rigging the votes or what's going on here, but Andrew Wiggins coming in above Christian Wood, or really just coming in at all, is kind of a joke. Not really out of spite of Andrew Wiggins, but he's certainly not an all-star, and certainly not what he's cracked up to be, being a number one pick. Donovan Mitchell certainly should be making the team, as he's brought the Jazz to a number one seed. They're recently coming off an 11-game winning streak, so there's really no debate here. Just switch out Wiggins for Donovan Mitchell, and I'm perfectly okay with how these fan votes are coming in for the Western Conference. Moving on to the Eastern Conference with Durant as the captain. Next in line for top votes, Giannis Antetokounmpo with 1.7 million votes, Joel Embiid 1.5 million votes, Bradley Beal 1.2 million votes, and Kyrie Irving with 1 million votes. No real problem with the starters here in the East, although I'm just calling it the East, but it's Team Durant, although it's going to be drafted differently, but you understand. James Harden coming in next with 1 million votes. Jason Tatum coming in at 7 with 822k votes. Jaylen Brown, a little bit surprising that he only has 590k votes. He's number 8 in the East. Zach LaVine coming in at 9 with 486k votes. Nice to see that LaVine would be making it, according to the fans at least, as he's definitely deserving of it. Should have been last year with the All-Star game in Chicago, but I digress. Trae Young coming in at number 10 with 386k votes. And then these bottom two are a little bit of a question mark. Jimmy Butler coming in at 327k votes, and then Bam Adebayo with 307k votes. If we go next up, it's Colin Sexton with 207k votes, and Domantas Sabonis with 186k votes. You also have Derrick Rose with 183k votes, which is nice to see. And then we have Julius Randle with 175k votes, Gordon Hayward with 159k votes, and Jeremy Grant only has 134k votes. Now, although the Pistons are the worst team in the East, I would think that Jeremy Grant is an all-star this year based on his play. And then Julius Randle for sure. The Knicks are sitting at 10 and 11 right now, looking in on the playoffs. If they started today, albeit a small sample size, they would be in the play-in game. Julius Randle definitely is deserving of it. I would say possibly just as of today over Jimmy, just because he's only played his 8th game as of last night, just missing so much time because of health and safety protocols. Although we do know that the All-Star game is mostly a popularity vote, so that's why we're seeing Jimmy and Bam kind of making it in at the moment. So that's really the only two where I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, well, Julius Randle is deserving, so you got to bump out Jimmy or Bam. And then Jeremy Grant is a little bit of a question mark. We'll see kind of what happens there. Gordon Hayward also is one to look at with only 159K fan votes. He's definitely up for discussion for whether he's deserving of it. The Charlotte Hornets are currently in the playoffs. I believe they're the 8th seed. They are. They're 10 and 12. And excuse me, before I said the Knicks were 10 and 11, they are 10 and 13. But they're also the 9th seed looking in. Outside of this, the bottom two really, I'm happy with how the fan voting is looking. I was definitely thinking that Durant was going to make team captain this year over Giannis. Just seeing him back at his MVP form is certainly something nice to see, and definitely something to watch for the Nets to see if they make it far into the playoffs, which that's my prediction. One thing I'm interested to see is, I'm not sure if it's Bradley Beal or Kyrie who's going to get bumped out of this starting lineups, because I do think that Jaylen Brown and the season he's had is definitely up for discussion on making it. Although I think he's categorized as a forward, so I'm not sure he can take a guard spot. And if he is considered a forward, he's not going to be a starter. There's no way he's making it over Giannis or Embiid, but he definitely has played up to par of being an all-star starter this year, although it's going to be a bit tough. But as I talk about how Jeremy Grant is on the worst team in the East, we can go and talk about the West as well. I mean, New Orleans is 8 and 12. They are just above the Timberwolves as the worst team. Then you have Dallas right above New Orleans at 9 and 13, and you have Luka coming in as a starter. So, like I said, it's still mostly a popularity contest. Although I think that the benches certainly are for spots deserving of players who have played up to par, that being Julius Randle, Jeremy Grant, definitely Donovan Mitchell over Andrew Wiggins, even Colin Sexton. Really, I mean the Cavs are a 7th seed right now, sitting at 10 and 12. I don't think anyone outside of Cleveland was looking at the Cavs as taking a step towards the playoffs this year, so you could definitely debate him into being in the All-Star game, which looks like it may be happening on March 7th of this year, although we did have De'Aaron Fox mention that it's completely stupid to have, and I don't necessarily disagree. Getting everyone all in the same building is a very dangerous game to play, based on how contact tracing has already gone in the NBA, with Washington decimating the Heat and the Celtics and various other teams just because they didn't catch it in time enough, and it just kind of got out of control for a while there, a couple weeks. Some other players out west I did not mention. They are sitting at around the 150K mark on fan votes. Devin Booker is at 173K votes, and Chris Paul's at 128K votes. You can also kind of make a case for them as Phoenix are in the playoffs at the 6th seed currently at 11 and 9. Although when I mentioned the benches here, you have Anthony Davis, Paul George, Damian Lillard, Zion Williamson, Wiggins. Although like I said, take Donovan Mitchell for that. So we'll say Donovan Mitchell, Christian Wood, and John Morant. John Morant making Memphis a 5 seed at 9 and 7. Although it's not all on John Morant, but he is the catalyst for that team. I'm not sure where you fit them in here. Zion's just going to get that popular vote, and he also is doing historic things over in New Orleans. So I'm not sure that you're going to get a Devin Booker, Chris Paul All-Star appearance this year, although that's not to say they aren't deserving of it. That's all for episode 5 of the NBA Talk Show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to subscribe if you like the show. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow the show on there if you're enjoying it. And if you are on YouTube, Please subscribe and like the video if you are enjoying the content.